Hi, my name is Amy Zimmerman, and I'm currently a senior studying chemistry in the Honors Tutorial College at Ohio University. So I do cancer research, and more specifically I'm looking at the effects of radiation therapy on the cancer cells and how it affects their ability to metastasize or move and form a secondary tumor, which typically has a poor prognosis for patients. Actually, through my tutorials, I started learning about cancer with the professor who does cancer research, and after learning a little bit about cancer, it's such a huge area that it's hard to really learn about it unless you pick a topic. And I came across microRNAs, which were only discovered within the last 10 to 15 years, and now people are realizing that they have a very important regulatory role in cancer. So my tutor that I was working with really helped guide me through the primary literature and say, you know, you should read these papers because they'll help you figure out what you want to write about. And it was like the more I read about it, the more I wanted to keep reading. And at one point he said, you know, you've read tons of articles, and I think it's just time to start writing now because you're pretty much a self-made expert in the field just because of how much reading you've done. So he kind of saw my inspiration, but also pulled me back a little bit and said, let's look at what you've already read and reflect on it. And it actually turned into a first author publication for me, which was amazing because in science it's hard enough to get a data publication with your name at the very end when there's 20 other people listed, but to actually have your name first is a pretty powerful thing, and it's definitely helped me through my med school application process. And even just, I guess that was kind of a good moment for me because I feel like I'm now contributing to the scientific community, and hopefully the knowledge that I put into that paper will inspire other people who want to get involved in the field. So. Well, I actually started working in a different lab here my freshman year, and that kind of gave me the confidence and the basic skills to do lab research. And then over the past few summers, I've gone to different universities and gained more skills and experience, and then I really became interested in cancer research more specifically, and I knew I had to work with a professor here for my senior thesis. So Dr. Wu, who I work with at the Ridges, he's actually one of the few people who do cancer research here. So it was kind of coincidental, I suppose, but yeah. Let me think. Actually both of my cancer research projects have had both triumphs and failures, as with any research project, especially biomedically related ones. So I can't think of a single defining moment other than actually during one of my tutorials, I was just reading papers, and I came across one about personalized medicine in cancer, and that basically means that in addition to looking at each individual patient's history and their lifestyle and their culture and how that affects their health, you also can incorporate their genetic information. And what they're doing right now is they're putting together these huge databases that basically profile patients based on their genetics, and that can determine how well they respond to certain pharmaceutical products, and specifically for cancer, what subtypes of cancer will respond to certain treatments. And I think that was really what pushed me to continue my aspirations towards medicine, because I just think the whole concept of it and the fact that there's so much progress being made right now, that hopefully by the time 10 years down the road when I'm actually ready to be a practicing physician, it'll be ready to actually benefit the patients. Absolutely. I think just being able to have that time outside of class and being able to meet with an expert in the field and really learning things more in depth than I would ever get in any of my classes here. And more specifically, just being able to really hone in on an area that I want to study more in depth, which I'd like to think I would have done that on my own if it weren't for HTC and my tutorials, but I'm not really sure I would have set aside time on my own to do that either. So absolutely, the HTC has been pivotal in that aspect of it. Well, I think one of the main components of research is it really teaches you to approach a problem analytically, especially with science-based research. You really think differently about any problem you encounter after you've done research, because you realize how much work and what kind of steps go into the discovery of new knowledge. And as a result of that, you also question existing knowledge, and just kind of realizing that the knowledge that I'm learning today in my classes probably won't be relevant 10 years from now. So I think it's really helped develop that sense of lifelong learning and just constant discovery, which is very relevant because I'm going into the medical profession. So I guess that was a major aspect of it. And then personally, having had the opportunity to work in so many different labs, I've kind of realized that it's not my calling, and it's not what I want to spend the rest of my life doing, 40 hours a week, 50, 60 hours a week maybe. So I think that aspect of it also, had I not had the time to have those experiences, and had I not had the knowledge from my tutorials to be able to do them, I'm not sure I would have been where I am today in terms of my personal and professional goals.